And thank you, Andrew, for hosting that. We've just got another 10 minutes of this session, and while that debate was going on, there were a couple of round tables upstairs, one of which was addressing ad blocking, and the other was looking at a new kind of addressable DAI technology. And we're just going to hear about the ad blocking first. So I'd like to introduce Sarah Kiefer, who's the head of marketing for EMEA at Uyala.
Hi everyone, so I'm intensely aware that I'm standing between you and your lunch, so I'll keep this nice and brief. But we had a great conversation upstairs, a kind of lively discussion about ad blocking and the ways in which TV companies can and maybe should be countering the threat from ad blocking. Our first kind of big conclusion was that there are significant differences in the amount of ad blocking that different TV companies are seeing. So depending on the demographic that you're targeting and the regions that you're operating in, you might see rates as low as 5% or as high as 35%. But the general conclusion was that 2015 has been a bit of a tipping point in ad blocking, a kind of year in which everybody's sat up and taken notice, and ad blocking rates have been growing so fast that most broadcasters, once they go over the sort of 10% ad blocking mark, they realize that they actually do need to do something to respond. So then we discussed kind of why ad blocking has grown so rapidly. And we thought it was kind of a combination of many different factors, but that partially the advertising industry itself and us, basically everyone in this room, should take partial responsibility for not thinking enough about the advertising experience. So, there's a lot of correlation between retargeting and the growth of ad blocking. How long it takes ads to load and the overall ad experience seems to be one of the driving factors in an increase in ad blocking as well. So, and particularly in Europe, an interesting point was that since you get those kind of alerts that they're using cookie-based tracking, that people are very aware of how they're being tracked on the internet and not very comfortable with that, so that may be increasing the rate of ad blocking. But on the other hand, as an industry, this is obviously costing us massive amounts of money, and there's a lot of concern that ad blocking could kill a lot of smaller publishers and also seriously affect the ability of large broadcasters to make money in digital. So then we looked at kind of 8, or I think in the end we came up with 9 kind of possible responses to ad blocking. So you can flag it to users and take a kind of softly approach and say, basically, you're using an ad blocker, please stop, but not actually block access to content. You can block users as well. You can start charging them a subscription, which many publishers have started doing if they recognize that you're using an ad blocker. You can take some slightly more heavy-handed approach. You can try legal action. Several publishers in Germany have been attempting to take ad blocking companies to court with kind of mixed results. You can do what we were calling pay tribute. So you can actually pay the ad blockers to stop blocking your site. Our general conclusion was that was akin to doing business with the mafia, so we weren't very happy with that as a solution. You can try and drive traffic to apps so that you get them into an environment where ad blockers don't work, but we thought that was probably a bit of a short-term solution because realistically ad blockers will start to work more effectively in an app environment. You can increase the amount of native advertising and sponsored content that you're doing, but again, we thought that probably wasn't a particularly scalable solution. Or there were actually technology solutions you can look at, and we went into a little bit more detail on that. Which I'll come to in a second. We also looked at using more ad formats such as YouTube's TrueView format with skippable ads, and we talked about different types of ad format and how you can encourage engagement or kind of prove interactivity without annoying your user. But then, as I said, we went into some detail on technology solutions. So we looked at the pros and cons of server-side ad insertion versus plugins that block blockers. So server-side ad insertion is essentially where you make the ad look like the content, so the ad blocker can't block it. Whereas a plugin-based solution is where it recognizes that the ad blocker is attempting to block the ad, but serves the ad anyway and kind of unlocks that inventory, and we talked about the benefits and disadvantages of both those approaches. And then finally, a kind of interesting thing that we got onto was talking about how attractive ad block users are as a demographic and as a target audience. And we talked about some examples of actually specifically selling that audience to media agencies and their kind of interest in reaching this tech-savvy, young, predominantly kind of male audience. So I thought that was kind of an interesting flip on the ad blocking problem, is actually making it an attractive target segment. So that's it. If you've got any questions about ad blocking, love to talk to you afterwards or point you in the direction of any of the other wonderful participants in the discussion. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and then the next roundtable was about addressable insertion, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Rayed Kashim, who's the CEO at Cellavision.
Good afternoon. We had a nice roundtable discussion this afternoon, earlier. The main points we have discussed was about the targeted advertisement and the major challenges that advertisers face today, starting from the time of when to advertise, what is the best time, or what they call it, the prime time. And then, the other challenges were like, for example, which channel to advertise on. And through a system we call dynamic delivery system, it resolves many of these challenges. So the major idea of the dynamic time delivery is the fact of the display of the ads happens when the viewers or the specific viewer watch and turn on their set-top box and start watching the TV. That is when the prime time for this particular user. With the dynamic channel delivery, the advertisers, they don't have to care or worry on which channel to advertise on, because the system is smart enough to deliver the ads to the channel that this particular user is watching. Moreover, we have something called dynamic broadcast delivery, and with that, it is a very targeting mechanism. So people could be watching on the same building or the same home, the same channel, and they would be receiving different TV ads, depends on their demography, whether it's by location, age, gender, interest, income, and so on. This all happens in the broadcast arena. Okay, and area. So whether it's a satellite broadcast or cable, it's a selling the ads would have it's very much will become like selling ads on YouTube or Facebook, and the major market for this would be the long tail, which is the local shops and the local stores. They would be able to place their ads on TV, okay, like the big boys. But at a very, affordable price, and they would be paying for delivered ads rather than buying a space time over the TV. Also, some of the challenges we have been discussing or issues is, should we allow the users to skip the ads or to replace them? And, there is a debate, and I'm in favor that we should allow them at least to say this particular ad does not, fit my interest or it doesn't appeal to me. So they would hit, rather than skipping, it will just replace an ad to them. These are the major points that we have discussed in our roundtable, and I'll be available for any questions. Thank you very much.